What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more fighting. UFC Brasilia, and I just watched the main event with Cris Cyborg and Lina Lansberg. Now, wow, Cris Cyborg is an absolute animal, right? There's not much to break down as a fight, but I'll do my best to talk about the fight. Cris Cyborg knocked out Lina Lansberg in the second round. It was a domination. It was beast mode, one-sided. What Cris Cyborg did well was she's just too strong for these girls, right? She's like ragdolling them like it's nothing. It's like she's beating you at every out, you know what I mean? So when I'm watching this fight, there was in the first round there was a significant takedown by Cris Cyborg, and it looked like the ref gave he gave Lansberg every opportunity to save face, and it honestly could have got stopped in the first round, you know what I mean? But he was just, I guess because the Brazilian crowd or whatever, they wanted to try to give him the money's worth, but he allowed it to continue going on. She was taking a serious beating, and it's impressive. It's kind of getting to the point where it's who can test Cyborg. Like, if you run out of opponents, you're gonna have to start fighting men or something. But the way she's just too strong, the striking, powerful. Post-fight, you look at her face, it's clear. You look at her and that's not the only way to judge a fight, but you look at her face, it's fairly clean. And you look at their opponent's face, and it's all busted. Lansberg eye looked trash. It looked horrible, bad swelling. And you got to keep in mind that this is the aftermath, and the opponents are shelling up. Like when Cyborg was like jumped on her and was like hitting her with the ground and pound, she's completely shelled up, and some of those shots obviously still got through. So a lot of people speculated that I think she had to lose 20 plus pounds in a week, and she was struggling to make that weight. And I mean, maybe that's why at the beginning of the round it looked like it took a second for her to open up, but nothing significant. Maybe the weight cut had something to do with it. So I don't know what she's planning on doing, if she's planning on going up in weight or whatever. She did release this tweet where she said, "Remember when Ronda Rousey said the champ doesn't go to anyone? Tonight I am going to 140, hashtag for the fans." So she pretty much is acknowledging that the weight cut is extreme or severe to make it, but she's doing it for the fans of her country and Brazil or whatever. But I mean, the weight cut wasn't that apparent. She still looked strong. She still dominated rounds 1, 2. 2 was more of the same. It was just worse. I do give credit for Lansberg for being tough as nails, because like I said, it could have been stopped in the first round. Her face was busted up, bloody, and Lansberg was trying her best to hang in there. She was just overmatched and shelling up. But some of the shots she ate, other girls would have been sleeping, and it would have been for sure stopped. So I give credit to Lina Lansberg. You also have to give credit too, because I was watching the little pre-fight build-up that the UFC put together where they give the backstories and have both fighters talking, and Team Lansberg had a lot to say. They were like, "Oh, we're confident with our Muay Thai," and she was on a 6-win streak. I think she only had one loss in the UFC. She had 6 wins in a row, and the Team Lansberg, they were talking like they were very confident, like, "Oh, we've seen things we can expose." And that wasn't the case against Cyborg and Lina Lansberg. Cyborg is one of the people that kind of lives up to their name. Like, the way she comes at you is really like a cyborg. She eats your best shots, pins you against. I mean, it was bad, man. Like, it was just a domination. She slammed her down. There was another takedown in the second round, just ground and pound, just eating nasty shots. Lansberg's face is bloody. She's shelling up. Clearly can't counter or do nothing. So I know the shots hurt, because you see how people go in that defense mode and like frantic. And one thing Cris Cyborg was doing, kind of like Conor McGregor early in the Nate Diaz fight, where he dropped Nate Diaz to the mat and he jumped on him, and then he got back up. He stood back up to stand back up, like, get up, get up. Cyborg was doing that too. So it shows a level of patience for an aggressive fighter, instead of just trying to smother their work or pounce on you and stay on top of you. She kept getting back up and allowing the fight to continue, and like kind of taking breaks, and which makes basically like an interval beating, if that makes any sense. So Cris Cyborg, she's just looking like a beast. This fight was at a 140 catch weight. I don't know. I just don't see Ronda Rousey wanting a piece of that, especially losing to Holly Holm, things like that. Obviously, the weight would be an issue. What weight would it take place at? Because I don't see Ronda Rousey wanting to make any concessions to fight Cris Cyborg, who's already damaged Gina Carano, who was the Ronda Rousey of her day. You know what I mean? She was the one the UFC was pumping heavily and had all the spotlight in MMA for a female and stuff like that. So I don't know. I really don't know what the UFC is going to do with Cris Cyborg, because she's just looking like a monster, and I don't know who's going to want to fight her, or in that limited talent pool who can even compete with what she does well. And I'm just being 100% honest. I don't know who's going to want to jump up and wait or whatnot to fight her, because again, their team was very confident before the fight, saying Muay Thai, and even the UFC commentators were saying she's a hell of a striker and she gets people out of there and all kinds of stuff like that, and none of that was the case. She got overpowered and manhandled by a woman. Last thing I noticed that people need to stop doing with Cyborg is this game plan or strategy of, let's hope she beats my ass and then punches herself out and gasses out. That's terrible, because even if that is the case and she does gas out, you might be throwing weaker strikes and weaker punches because you took so much punishment. You know what I mean? So that's not a good game plan. Like, people like hoping that you can string the fight out and go and see round 3 or 4 or whatever and hope she's weakened by then, but you have to endure all of that in rounds 1 or 2. You're not going to be at your best. So that's not a good strategy, and it seems like that's what some of the corners and some of the teams that fight against Cris Cyborg, that's like what they say is like, let's take her into deep water. But you can't take someone into deep water and get pounded like that in the first 2 rounds. It's not going to look good for you. This is not a movie, Rocky or something, where you're going to be able to bounce back from all of that punishment. You know what I mean? Like I said, it could have got stopped in the first round, and it did get stopped in the second. So you can't wait. You have to be the one to get off first, and don't let her somehow walk you down. And it is hard, but that's what you signed up for. So again, Cris Cyborg, she put on for the Brazilians, and it was a domination. It was a slaughter. It was like sending the cow to the slaughterhouse. Very one-sided. You had it from every angle. Takedowns. She was getting the best of it. Ground and pound. Stand up with strikes against the cage. She was landing hellacious knees. So let me know what you want to see next for Cris Cyborg. But this is her second fight with the UFC, first main event, and she obviously impressed. It's just now it's about who they're going to get in there with her. Drop in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought of tonight's fight card. And make sure you hit the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.